Hi, I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats at hotDOCS in downtown Toronto. I'm here with John Vaillant. How does it feel to have HADWIN'S Judgement screening here at hotDOCS?
It's thrilling, and it really feels like the right place. You know, it's a Canadian story, and Sasha has almost become an honorary Canadian with all the time he's spent here, and it's been a 7-year project, and it's finally coming to fruition. And we had a full house last night, and I'm so thrilled and really honored to have been part of it.
And what has the best part for you been about seeing your book turned into or inspiring this amazing film?
Well, you know, I know Sasha Snow because he inspired my second book, which is The Tiger. So he did another documentary called Conflict Tiger, which I saw at Banff. That inspired my second book. The Golden Spruce is my first book. I sent that to him as sort of a thank you, and he was looking for a project and said, you know, can I make a film of your book? And so we have changed, you know, completely symmetrically our stories across media. And so that is, you know, so satisfying to do, and I have such deep faith in him and his aesthetic and his narrative choices. So the Golden Spruce in his hands, you know, felt like a logical place for it to be. And we waited, you know, it took 7 years to pull this off, and it's never easy making a film. I never heard anyone say it was easy, but, you know, he had a tough road, and he stayed with it, and a lot happened in his life, and he became a father, and all kinds of things happened along the way, and he kept this vision in mind. And I really am honored by that because, you know, I wrote the book, and he stayed true to that story and that vision, and to finally see it. And I mean, the other thing that was really powerful for me was I'd already written the book, and so obviously he didn't want to do that again. And I love that he took it into this kind of more into a kind of pure storytelling, you know, and away from kind of more hard-boiled nuts and bolts documentary, which I'd sort of done already, you know. And his, you know, he kind of, you know, he lets it float in a more timeless, dreamy place, and that really is how things are up there. They're certainly anchored to reality. You can get on a plane and a ferry and go to Haida, but once you're out there, you feel like you're in a parallel universe, and that the film really captures that.
Absolutely. And can you tell me a little bit about how you discovered or found out about Grant Hadwin and this story about the Golden Spruce?
I moved to British Columbia in 1998. The tree was cut down in 1997. It was front page news at the time. It was reported in the New York Times and National Geographic. I missed all that. I didn't know a thing about it. But I'd always wanted to go to Haida since I was a kid living in the East Coast. And I finally got a trip. Outside Magazine sent me up there to go paddling. And I did my paddling trip, and it was really just a travel story. But I had an out-of-date tourist map that still had the Golden Spruce listed on it. And it said, you know, this is this unique golden tree, sacred to the Haida. You know, it's a botanical mystery. And I had an extra day, so let's go see this tree. And I went, you know, down this maze of logging roads, which unfortunately is how you get around on Haida these days, and found somebody. I was lost, and, you know, I showed him the map and said, you know, I'd like to go see this, and he said, you can't see it anymore. Well, why not? Well, somebody cut it down, and well, I knew it was a special tree. It was who would do that? And, you know, a logger did it. And, you know, wait a second. You know what? Nothing is making sense. You know why would a logger? He did it as a protest against logging. You know, and so it's just getting weirder and weirder. Every question is begetting more questions. Well, what happened to him? Well, he disappeared in a kayak and has never been heard from since. So that's what I was carrying around, and got home and filed my little kayaking story. And then I was just thinking about this guy and this tree, and I started digging, and honestly, Hadwin was a mystery. It took me 6 months simply to find out where he lived. All I knew about him was he lived somewhere in the Lower Mainland, which is the Vancouver area, and that he played tennis in the 1960s, and that's all I knew. I looked up every single Hadwin in the phone book going back to Manitoba. I worked my way across the country of Canada. There are 451 listed Hadwins. None of them were related to him, or at least would admit it. So then I went to the tennis clubs, and I had to find people who were teaching tennis in the 1960s. I finally, after 6 months, found a 92-year-old man, retired, living in North Vancouver, and he knew the entire family. And the reason why there are no Hadwins in the phone book related to him is they were all dead. So then I found relatives who had, other names, and then the story finally opened up. But he was, he really was lost, and it took a while to find him.
Absolutely. And what was it like for you watching the recreations? Because there was dramatizations of Hadwin in the film.
I'd thought about this story filmically since the beginning, and I thought, whoever plays Hadwin, he can't just be an actor, he has to be an athlete. Hadwin was so physical, and so much of his charisma and power and ability came from his incredible physical gifts. And there are photographs of him, basically naked, and you could see, he looks like an Olympic athlete, just a real specimen. And so whoever was going to play him had to have those qualities. And Doug Chapman has them. And also the face, the pain in his face. He looks totally convincing with a chainsaw, totally convincing moving through the mountains. Just a beautiful, really fortunate choice. And those guys are rare. And it's amazing that, Sasha found one. And I think this guy did a terrific job. It's not just a stuntman, and there's real acting going on in those scenes, and when his eyes are welling up and you can just see this, subtle but deep pain in his face, and, it's a man, at the breaking point, and that really came across.
And do you believe that Hadwin is still alive?
I do not, no. And I'm a journalist. I have to be conservative. It's irresponsible not to be. It feels irresponsible from my point of view to fan the flames of, oh yeah, he could still be out there. To be clear, the people who know him best are the ones who think he's still alive. I never met him, so I'm really not qualified to say, but I do know what temperature the water is. I do know the weather conditions he was paddling under. I do know what he'd been through in the prior 24 hours. I do know that his mental state was, disturbed. I do know that what was waiting for him in Haida Gwaii at his court date was hostile. And I also think if he had survived, he was a family man. I mean, with all his difficulties, along with that, he was the father and of 4 children, ultimately. And that's I'm a parent. I don't know if you're a parent, but it's a bond that transcends everything. And if he had survived long enough to kind of get himself back together, I think he would have wanted to see his kids.
And where's the best place for us to find out more information on the film and your book as well online?
There's a lot written about both the book, The Golden Spruce, which is, it's been a bestseller. It won many awards. It's in its, I think, 19th or 20th printing now. So it's easily found, pretty much anywhere you go. And as far as the film, online, I guess I'd go to the hotDOCS website. I'd go to the NFB website and just Google Golden Spruce or Hadwin's Judgment, and you'll get a lot.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats at hotDOCS in Toronto.